Thank you so much for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you. How are you doing?
Good, thanks for having me. Good to see you again.
It's an absolute pleasure seeing you again. The last time we saw each other was over in Vegas, so it's good to see you now here in Amsterdam.
Yeah, exactly.
What an incredible gallery, right?
Yeah, great event, great venue.
Thank you so much for joining us. Now, could you tell our viewers at home a bit more about yourself and Zenus Bank, please?
So I've been in the online trading industry, in the fintech industry for over 20 years, and after experiencing kind of how fragmented the space for payments is, I decided to sell my group of companies and start a new bank.
Oh wow!
So for the last 4 or 5 years, I've been in this kind of unexpected roller coaster of building a bank from scratch.
That's absolutely incredible. I mean, not a lot of people have the guts to do that. So it's impressive to hear that you've done it. And what sets Zenus Bank apart from any other bank in the world? What do you guys do the best?
So we started with kind of this idea that we wanted to solve a problem, and looking at the space, we realized that most of the neobanks and challenger banks and newcomers, they're focusing only on the front end of the journey. They're making cooler apps, easier user journeys, faster, sexier, combining products and whatnot.
Yeah.
But we realized that the challenge is that they're all bootstrapped on top of traditional banks, and really the limitation is driven by their foundation. So for us to solve this problem, we had to re-engineer this foundation. So we had to create a new kind of a bank. So, we wanted to be a bank, because I think you need to be a bank to solve this problem.
Yeah.
But we realized that a lot of the services and products that banks provide nowadays essentially distract them from keeping up with the demands of modern society. So, for us that meant designing a very vanilla bank, focusing on very small number of things, and doing that better than anybody else, and expanding it to outside of our borders.
You know what it sounds like to me is that you looked at the fintech strategy of catering very well to a niche market and using that, but with the trust that comes along with a bank. And it's so fascinating to hear that perspective, and I'm really excited to see what you guys do in the future. But talking about nailing that back-end architecture, let's look into what makes you different, and let's maybe talk about some of the technologies used to get there. For instance, artificial intelligence. How does Zenus Bank use that to facilitate the huge number of payments you have going through American payment systems?
Yeah. So what we realized is that when we're digitally native, right? We're born in this modern age. So the user journey for our customer, from the moment they download our app to when they start the process, procrastinate, a few days later continue the process.
Yeah.
All this converts into a lot of data points about our customer, their behavior, where they are, what phone they use, what country they're in, what SIM card they use. And what we do is, we have to store this data safely somewhere within the context of regulations. And we've chosen to align ourselves with Microsoft Cloud.
Wow.
So we use a lot of components from Microsoft, and they've been like a great early partner to help us figure this out. Next is using all these data points to essentially meet and exceed regulatory challenges. So what we realized, or what we ended up building, the aha moment, is that although it seems that what we're doing is very risky, because we don't meet any of our customers, they can come from over 150 countries, purely digital, we realized that because it's digital, the things we know and we learn from the customer actually make this transaction, the banking, onboarding, KYC, AML, safer than the traditional model where some random person walks into a branch, some employee fills a piece of paper, it gets stored, it gets scanned, and then some data entry person puts it into a system, fat finger mistakes and whatnot. So, essentially the data is always available, and it's extremely enriched. The next point, and this is why we chose Microsoft, is because, there's embedded platforms that allow us to put this data to practice, from our ERP system accounting to tools like Power BI that allows us to manipulate big data to give real-time immediate insights to the people who need to kind of take decisions on it. So we have all these dashboards, we have all these alerts, all these real-time things that help on one side our employees run the bank better and more efficiently to a global scale, but at the same time to make this process as painless as possible for the customer. That to kind of prove a point is we became the first bank to allow a foreigner to start and finish this account opening process cross-border in about 10 minutes.
That's incredible.
That's all it takes. And this was a process, A, only available to ultra wealthy in the wealth management space. B, it takes months and months and thousands of dollars, requires trips, requires notarized documents and all these things. We were able to kind of combine all of that into a very elegant, self-serviced process.
I think that's absolutely amazing because, I mean, when you look at the American banking landscape and all the various different compliance matters and KYC across different states,
So many things.
to be able to facilitate that in one go-to app that you guys have created, that's really impressive.
Thank you.
Now, one thing as well is obviously you've been bringing up payments. Now, payments across America are going through a wealth of changes. Not only are we seeing the clearinghouse adapt to new regulations, international standards like ISO 222.
Yeah.
What's this going to mean for your customers? How do you at Zenus Bank facilitate those changes and make payments as seamless for all your customers as possible?
So on the bank side, because we're modern, we take into consideration all the latest innovations. So our APIs are built already on that standard. We didn't have to transform or transition, so that made things easier. We're members of SWIFT. We're a principal member of Visa. We have a large correspondent banking network. So these are the things that we're trying to convert into products for our clients. But what we realized is, you can go into the nitty-gritty of which rail is faster, quicker, cheaper.
Yeah.
But what happens is that the world is a very fragmented place. So if you're born in Europe, you don't really see these challenges. You're looking for user experience and maybe a relationship with a brand that makes you feel good. But if you're in Colombia, it's actually illegal for the local banks to offer you a foreign currency account.
Wow, okay.
Black and white. It's not about good or bad banks. It's just they cannot offer it.
Yeah.
If you're in Argentina, that there's an exit toll that's charged on your after-tax money you have in the local bank to spend it outside. Shopping online, paying for your kids' school, your holiday to Amsterdam. All these things are kind of modern challenges that the traditional banking system hasn't adapted towards yet.
Yeah.
So we kind of, what we're looking to do is to kind of provide this unified access to things that people in, a small number of countries in the world take it for granted.
Yeah. I think that's such an interesting way of looking at things. The fact that banking and payments used to be so domesticated.
Yeah.
We're now living in a global world and banks have to cater to that and the various different payments cultures, compliance, regulatory issues that surround that, and they haven't caught up, but you guys have. And it's absolutely fascinating getting your insights. And lastly, I've got to ask you, we're here at Banking Renaissance. How have you found it so far?
It's been amazing. I've met so many interesting characters. There's representation from I think over 30 countries.
Wow.
So their viewpoint is really good.
Yeah.
There's amazing thought leaders, and it's hard to find all of them at the same place at once. Usually every conference has one or two of them. So it's been great to hear their viewpoints, and especially what they see is the future for this industry. So, and that was on a panel with, Paolo from IBM and Luke from Google. So that was pretty exciting, to share the stage with, so much wealth of knowledge.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Moshe. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Great to see you again. Thank you. Yeah, can't wait. Very nice.